Hello, my name is K.Haynes, and this is my official biography of Richard Franklin Lennox Thomas Pryor III, known as Richard Pryor, a comedian. Richard Pryor has very different characteristics that I found to be very interesting in my research. Richard was known as a kind, giving, funny, emotional, a loving father, person. He is very attentive and very caring and outgoing love for his grandmother, Marie Carter. His place in history to this day is that he is a comedian that broke down barriers for other comedians that were in process of being comedians and comedians that were to be. Um, Richard took those chances that other comedians were afraid to take. He broke barriers by using words and profanity in ways that had never been used or heard of at that point in time. Richard was born in the 60s, and in the 60s, it wasn't such a good time or easy time for black people to express themselves in such ways, let alone in the ways that Richard chose to express himself. He opened doors by using profanity in ways that had never been opened before. He stands today as a comedian legend, a comic legend all over the world. He became one of the most influential comedians of this time. He was born December the 1st, 1940, to Gertrude Mee Thomas and his father, the late Leroy Pryor Jr. His mother is also deceased. He was raised by his grandmother, Marie Carter. His mother was a prostitute who would be known at this time for having relations with the town mayor. Richard was from Peoria. His father also held many occupations, such as a bartender. He was a boxer, and he was also a World War II veteran. And his nickname was Buck Carter. Richard's mother abandoned him at age 10 in 1967. That's how his grandmother, you know, was the one that raised him. Um, Richard also, I'm sorry. Richard also experienced molestation at the age of, oh my goodness, at the age of 6. I'm sorry. At the age of 6 by a neighborhood or teenage friend. He also experienced molestation by a Catholic priest. Um, Richard's childhood was very hard and traumatic. One way that Richard would escape from this experience is he would go to the local movie theater, and he would watch movies. There, he got idols, and he would picture himself as being these people, such as Tom Ford and Howard Hawkins. Richard, he had ambition as a kid to become a star. His first time on stage was at 12 years old. He experienced jail at the age of 14, or shall I say juvenile, at the age of 14, for a petty defense. He started working also at the age of 14 as a janitor. He maintained a job at a local strip club. He was a shoe shine boy. He was a drummer. And he was also a meat packer. And he was a truck driver. He overcame many obstacles in his life that were somewhat detrimental in ways that it ended marriages, such as racism as a child, and also coming up as the 60s with way of the ways of comic that he chose. He experienced racism, jail. He experienced cocaine, crack cocaine, and also alcohol abuse. These experiences took a toll on Richard's life in traumatic ways, as I said before. Richard was married 7 times. Um, I'm sorry, Richard had 5 wives. He was married 5 times. His wives were Patrice Price. He married her in 1960 to 1967. Shelley Bonus, 1967 to 1969. Deborah McGuire, 1977 to 1979. Flynn Belaine, he married her twice. The first time, 1986 to 1987. They remarried 1990 to 1991. He also married Jennifer Lee twice. They married the first time 1990 to 1991. He remarried her 2001 till present death preceded him and her. He has 7 children. His children are actor Richard Pryor Jr. He was born in 1961. Elizabeth Pryor was born in 1967. Actress Wayne Pryor was born in 1969. Stephen Michael Pryor was born in 1984. Kelsey Pryor, born in 1987. And last but not least, Matthew Mason, born in 1987 also. This concludes my introduction to my official biography of Richard Pryor, and I hope that you enjoy my paper as well as my video. Thank you, and have a great day.